see you. So everybody can see you. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy National Pitbull Awareness Month. I've got Bella with me here tonight and Brenda. Hi, Brenda.
Hello, everyone.
Brenda's my only girlfriend allowed in the house. Well, Brenda's my only girlfriend.
I don't know if that's true.
So I got Bella, our Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue dog, with a little bandana that says, I love my mama. And I'll be reading from Rescue Matters tonight. I've got Fozzie's story, and I've got chapter 12, Angels Fly, if you've been following along. If you haven't been following along, all of the other chapters are on YouTube. You can listen to them. And since it's National Pit Bull Awareness Month, Johanna, come here. Come here. Someone told me that pit bulls were not good in a home with little kids. And my little girl was right there when he said that. And she was just like, huh? What are you talking about? Do you want to give Bella a kiss and say hello? I got plenty of little kids in my house. And my pit bull for sure is a face squisher. And is great with my little kids. The best dog I've had. Okay. I love you, sweetheart. Thank you. Okay, go ahead and go out. Take her with you. Take this one with you. Go out, sweetheart. Come on. We're going to get... Yeah, there you go. Good girl. Okay.
Thanks, Johanna.
Thanks, Johanna. Oh, you little sneaker. You little sneaker. I should have known better. I know better. I know better than to leave you alone with food for a second.
Pit bulls can be naughty.
So I've got some cool stats on pit bulls for you tonight that I'm going to chat about after these chapters. And chapter tonight is pretty cool. The next couple ones are pretty gut-wrenching. So in the beginning, I know the couple of first videos I did, I cried and had snot everywhere and used my shirt to wipe my face. And I haven't done that in a while. These chapters are a little bit easier, but they get a little bit harder as we go. And so, cheers. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Happy Ladies Night. Thank you to all the ladies behind Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue for everything that you do every day that is unseen. And, as always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I like to say I've got all the dirt of everything behind the scenes, and I do have all the dirt. It's just, what do I want to share? What can I share? So I can share some stuff, probably not too personal. But if you've got questions, go ahead and ask. All right, here we go. Fozzie's story. For all the chained dogs who now get to run free, and for those we have yet to rescue, we won't stop fighting for you. Now, this is Keith's words here. Quote, Keith Benning. Fozzie lived his life tied to a tree behind a trailer. He had been there for 7 years. A pile of trash to look at on one side, a heap of tires on the other, and a small wooden doghouse nearby. I was dispatched there on a call about an unresponsive individual. When I saw Fozzie, it was like his 5-foot chain was electrified. He was so excited to have some kind of contact. He choked himself against his collar so hard I thought he'd pass out. I went in, made sure the guy was stable, and when the ambulance came, I went out back to see Fozzie. I called him that because he reminded me of the Muppets. I had no option other than embrace the stink. I gave him a big hug, and he hugged, licked, and rubbed right back. I kept Lysol in my trunk for getting the dead people smell off. It's so like Keith. I used some of that after Fozzie, and then I went back to my shift. Every once in a while, if nobody was home at the trailer, I would stop by, give him a treat, and say hi. This went on for years. I thought about him a lot, but there was nothing I could do. There was one too many unresponsive calls, and eventually Fozzie's owner didn't wake up. That was the day I took him home. I had some geese in the evening before. I shot some geese in the evening before, and I let him run loose as I started to clean the birds. He ran around a little, then the wind kicked up, and as I plucked and the feathers flew across the yard, I watched him run around in the feathers, and I realized I was witnessing pure joy. I ran in and got my wife so she could see. We stood there choked up watching this chain dog run and leap and grab feathers out of the air. I have never seen pure joy like that in my life. I will never forget. Super cool. Thanks for writing that, Keith. I really appreciate telling me about Fozzie's story. And I said, you got to write it down in your own words. I'll clean it up. I'll fix it. That's what we did with a lot of the content of the book that Keith wrote. And that one always stuck with me. And I always have remembered that story. So reading from Rescue Matters, I got the link in the description. Portion of the profits always go directly back to Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue. Rescue Matters really is the story of how Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue was conceived and evolved and went on to still save thousands of dogs out of a little garage, fueled by one unstoppable dude and a lot of people behind the scenes. Chapter 12, Angels Fly. I went on to help with future surrender events, shot clinics, and a very small number of boots on the ground rescue trips. For me, the real work came from the writing nook in my bedroom. Hold on one second. I can hear these people out here. Hey, knock it off and go upstairs, please. Thank you. No more. Please. I asked, okay? Okay, thank you. Before someone breaks their leg. Good Lord.
They're wound up.
I asked them to knock that off. They're using cardboard down the stairs like a slide. I knew what was happening. I could hear it. The mom in the back of my mind knew. Those kids, they're doing exactly what I told them that they couldn't do. And so I apologize. This is what it is these days with kids home all the time. They're very creative. Anyway, okay. All right, here we go. Oh God, this next line. Each night after my kids were sleeping, which they never seem to do anymore, I did exactly what I wanted to be doing, which is exactly what I feel like I can't do anymore because the kids are always home and never sleeping. Sorry, there's my personal rant. I did exactly what I wanted to be doing, which was writing, rescuing dogs, and drinking wine. It was perfect. God, those were the good old days, Brenda. And my children went to school full time. And I had the house alone with the dogs, and I could do things like write books. I don't even know when I'm going to get another book published. I'm struggling, people. I'm struggling. There's not a lot of quiet time around here. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. Like all work type situations, some coworkers you love, some you don't. And the boss? Well, everyone complains about the boss from time to time, right? I, in particular, had some beef with the boss when he suggested this. There are these 2 girls in Grand Forks and 1 in Canada that help with fundraising, Keith said. I'm going to give you their numbers. I'd like you to connect with them. I threw my phone down, rolled my eyes, and let out a huge sigh. All I really wanted was to write and rescue dogs by myself, without having to play nice in the sandbox with other women who could be crazier than me. But since Keith was asking, I had to say yes. What I didn't say was that I hate fundraising. I was the worst kid in class for going door to door and asking people to buy the Christmas popcorn. I was the kid who sold just enough junk to my mom, my dad, and their coworkers to earn a blueberry-scented pencil. The last thing I wanted to do was call up 3 strange women and ask if I could be on their team because the boss told me to do it. But for Keith and for the dogs, I'd have to eat my feelings. And so I did the only thing I could do. I called them. This was back in, I was trying to think of it tonight. This was back in maybe 2015, 2016. And it's not that I don't like other women. I do. Of course I do. I work with all women. 99.9% of my patients are women and has been that way for 25 years. I just didn't expect Keith to say, there's these 2 strange women that are doing fundraising. I think maybe you should call them and help. it's just not what I thought how that was going to go. And so I really did take a leap of faith when I called them. What happened next was humbling and nothing short of miraculous. To my surprise and amazement, on my first call with Jenny, Aaliyah, and Trista, there was no talk of big galas and glitter balls. And I wasn't going to throw any of that out there, just in case. I remained quiet at the mention of a silent auction. But other than that, the conversation didn't go nearly as bad as I thought it would. It went quite well, actually. They were sort of nice, smart, normal, and seemed every bit as motivated as I was to help Keith. We shared a common goal and a similar level of crazy that kept us on the same page. So at that particular point in history, Keith and his then wife were rescuing dogs out of their house. There was maybe one or two other people on the ground. Lacey, who was there in the beginning, was no longer super active, but sort of off in the background. And Aaliyah, Trista, and Jenny had been involved for a couple of months when Keith made me make that phone call, and that was it. I can't count how many that was, but it was less than 10 people or so. So that is sort of the start of it. Really different now. It was just really different back then. So the entire book really is based in those first few years when it was really freaking hard, really, really hard. And there just wasn't the support that we have today. I know I've said that many times, but it was a lot different. In the months that followed, each of us pulled our own weight. More than anything, we wanted to see Keith succeed in building that shelter. The goal was to raise $90,000. We tried everything we could think of to raise the money. Some events went good, like the 5K run for rescues, Pucks for Paws. Aaliyah and Trista and Jenny and I and Keith served beer one night at a bar and donated all of our tips back, and the bar donated $1 per pint of beer back. I think we raised something like $500 that night, and it was just like the best night ever. Can you believe that we raised $500? I mean, this is just insane. We can buy dog food. You don't have to buy dog food out of your own pocket this week. This is like the best thing ever. I just remember how happy we were at every single little tiny dollar that people would donate for us. And some of the events went bad, like 50 Shades of Rescue. A giveaway on my little author page, which although I should deny and am embarrassed by today, was a terrible, terrible idea. But, you know, that's, I think, why we are where we are. We throw some bad stuff out there, roll it back, roll something else out, and figure out what works. We girls understood two things that motivated us to push through each day, no matter how insurmountable our goal seemed. 1, we needed to show Keith that we could raise enough money to build a shelter. If we did that, he would stick around long enough for us to really solve this problem. We would have to do it before he burned out and threw in the towel, which we felt was an imminent threat. Keith quitting due to burnout seemed to be a topic of conversation nearly every week. He dropped hints that he was drowning under the immense responsibility, and if he left, there was no one who would take over. Certainly none of us with kids and jobs who live hours away from ground zero. We could support from afar, but if he wasn't there to pick them up and hold them until we could move them through the rescue chain, it was over for TMAR. And number 2, dogs were suffering by the hundreds, thousands over time, and it had been going on for decades. None of us could sleep at night knowing that we were doing nothing about it and that the problem was so close to us. We felt it in our bones to push forward. We had to raise enough money for a shelter before more animals died. from selling stockpiles of hoodies, t-shirts, and hats, monthly recurring donations, and a handful of small fundraising events. Each of us contributed to raising money. Now, at least, there was enough money to take care of the basic monthly expenses. We were finally able to cover basic supplies and food for the animals in Keith's garage, so he didn't have to keep using his own money out of pocket. That was a huge win for us, and I really felt like we were making a difference in the lives of Keith and the locals, and certainly the animals. God, it seems like such a long time ago now, but I remember that. I remember thinking when we finally, in month number 1, had raised enough money where no one had to pitch in from the volunteer team out of pocket just to cover, dog food and some supplies. Keith was still working full-time as a deputy, so this was all just, on the side, and we all are, still working too. It was just a huge, huge win. I didn't even know if we would get there. Every single little step like that, I just couldn't even believe we got there. Can't believe we're still here. Our goal was to continue to cover all monthly expenses, and on the side, somehow, we would have to save $90,000. That would be enough to build a shelter. We didn't know how, or if it was even possible to raise that kind of money, but we committed and began to move heaven and earth to make it happen. And then, somehow, Keith and the angels began to soar. I remember someone laughing at Keith. You will never raise that kind of money. Keith straight up told the guy, you don't know the angels. I got smarter and strategic about what I was writing and posting for TMAR. I found my groove, and the rescue stories were starting to take off. Keith was taking better photos, and he began to do some live videos showing what he was doing up there. That caught some attention. He was the heart and hero of the rescue, and people were beginning to notice and tune in for more. People began to talk about TMAR. A woman on the radio station 4 hours away said that if she got another dog, she'd want a Turtle Mountain animal rescue dog. Newspapers across our state inquired about what we were doing and published small stories here and there. I wrote an article about the rescue for a local magazine, and we held fundraising events across the state. Steadily, we watched TMAR bank account grow from 10 to 13, then 16, then $20,000. We absolutely couldn't believe it was happening. I remember looking at the GoFundMe account and watching it grow each week. I told my husband, I think we've doubled the donations in 6 months. Our efforts are working. Our once far-off dream of building a shelter now felt like a reality. Jesus. I don't know. I don't know why I'm crying. I suppose because it brings me back. Because I wrote it like I felt it. That's why, right? No tears for the writer, no tears for the reader. Dog treats for my girl. We saved every dollar for that shelter. We asked for donations of bleach and dog food and supplies so we didn't have to use any savings. We were beyond grateful when people from around the country responded to our requests and started sending what we needed. Every bag of dog bones, donated leashes, and every dollar mattered to us. We felt an extreme amount of gratitude for what was happening. With increased followers and people invested in our cause came increased requests to help with more animals. Not to mention a surge of messages and emails that would all have to be answered. We didn't have the capacity to do all the things that were being asked of us. Someone needed to manage the Amazon wish list. Someone needed to contact suppliers and ask for dog food donations. Someone needed to get the proper vaccinations for intake, pick up donations, dropped off around North Dakota, and keep track of and pay the vet bills. Who would keep the receipts and do the taxes? Someone needed to track the number of animals coming in, coordinate foster care, recruit foster families, coordinate transports, recruit people to transport. One person needed to do rescue-to-rescue relations so we could actually move all the dogs Keith was taking in along the rescue chain. At that point, we were not adopting dogs out. We didn't even know if we ever would. Our model was, we're a rescue. We're not a shelter. We're a garage. We rescue. And then those dogs go to other rescues who have the people and the resources and the time and the established systems to adopt dogs out. We did not have adoption. We were just moving them through. We were from the ground to the rescue, quarantine, and then move them along. Totally different now. We needed someone to work on lining up the next surrender event and working with spay and neuter clinic that was coming to town. What if a foster gets bitten? Do we need insurance? How much? Who? Where? What kind of policy? We don't even have an actual building. What are we insuring? Do we even have money for insurance? What if we can't raise enough money to keep going? What time can everyone meet to discuss and vote? 9 p.m. Sunday? It's just, none of us, at that time, no one had any experience in nonprofit, volunteering, nothing. We were just fucking crazy people, accidentally tossed together in this crazy circumstance, and just decided we were going to do something. And that's how it started. And we all just had to learn as we went. And there was a lot of growing pains, and there still is a lot of growing pains. There's a word for an organization that grows too fast. And we referenced it frequently behind the scenes. We were a shit show. In many ways, we were a complete and total shit show. Even so, we were saving more lives than any other organization in the state, or perhaps even in the upper US. We didn't know of another rescue that was moving 70 or more animals every single month, which further solidified just how crazy we all were for actually pulling it off. With that kind of volume, we did good, we did bad, we made mistakes, we got up, we fell down, we threw in the towel, and then picked it back up. We laughed, cried, and argued. We didn't talk to one another all day, then talked late into the night the next. Thousands of lives would be saved if we succeeded in establishing a successful and sustainable model of rescue. And if we burned out and failed, thousands more would die. The amount of responsibility on Keith's plate was unfathomable. After a year of nonstop growth, it seemed like he hadn't stopped to sleep once. Not that he didn't want to. He did. There was just too much on the line and too many lives that would die if any of us stopped to take a breath or to take a nap. I gotta stop and take a breath. Learned what rescue and life and work and balance means a lot more now. There's a good book out there for any animal rescuers that are tuning in tonight called The Power of Joy in Giving to Animals, and it's written by one of the founders of the Best Friends Animal Society, the largest animal sanctuary in the world. And it really talks about how to keep going as an animal rescuer on the ground in the trenches and not get burned out. It has some really insightful stuff. That's not me. I'm not on the ground in the trenches picking up dogs. Those dogs are not in my garage to the tune of 100 every single month. That book is geared towards that particular set of people who rescue, and it's really good. So if that's you out there, it's just such a high rate of burnout in rescue. If that's you out there, that was a good book, offered some really good insight and resources for a lot of people on our team, and it was helpful. We were growing faster than our 4-kennel garage rescue could handle. It was more than Keith should or could manage without losing a piece of his sanity each day. Eventually, it was also more than his marriage could take. Keith Benning, quote.
Mom, it's
Yes?
time to wash these off because it's bedtime.
That sounds wonderful. You
Can
go
you
ahead.
wash these off?
I will. I'll be right up.
Can you wash them off?
I can. I'll be right up.
Will you do it when we're asleep?
Nope. I'll be right up and I'll help you wash off your face.
When Brenda's gone?
Yes.
When are you gonna be gone, Brenda?
Probably in about 15 minutes.
That's when
I
I'm
have
gonna
kids
be
tonight.
asleep.
I mean, I have kids
Okay.
every night. My husband is apparently not
I'll
around.
talk to you later.
No clue. It's supposed to be.
She's adorable.
So this next section that Keith wrote before we tuned in tonight, Brenda had said was one of her favorites, right?
Yes.
Because why?
Because it's so raw and so honest and so... It makes it real. To those who don't do what he does, those words are impacting.
Yeah. So super cool that he wrote this. Obviously, he put a lot of time and heart into it. So page 121 is where his words start. So this next section is what Keith wrote for the book. Quote, "The problem is that it never ends. Rescue never stops. Just when you think you have a handle on it, the floodgates open up. The dogs and puppies never stop. Why? Why am I doing this? Yes, I want to quit. I want to be responsible for me. I want to worry about setting my alarm, getting dressed and going to work, then coming home, doing something simple and going to bed. I don't want to worry about fixing laws and regulations, trying to find out intra-jurisdictional land lease complications, finding a transport van that won't start on fire and has air conditioning for the dogs and windows that open in the back. I don't want to worry about having a garage full of dogs, fosters that are full, shelters at capacity, and more calls coming in. I don't want to play God. Some days, when you fall, you just want to stay down and crawl off the road and sneak back into being normal. You want to be able to walk past a stray dog and turn your head and think, someone else will do something. What if you are that someone else? You have to keep doing what you do. Everything, everywhere, all the time is full. Fosters, shelters, rescues, all at capacity, and the critics that do nothing to save anything are unrelenting. It's bad enough dealing with the neglectors, abusers, and inept public officials. Quote, the stray dog wandered into my yard and I don't want it here. I need you to come and get it. Quote, I'm sorry, but I'm full right now. I have no place to put it. Quote, what the hell kind of rescue is this that you don't take dogs? Quote, I'm sorry, the rescue is my house garage. I just don't have any more room and all our fosters are full. Quote, you guys are a fraud. You're just trying to make money. I'm going to tell everyone about how you don't really rescue dogs. Quote, go fuck yourself, is what I wanted to say. I wanted to tell him, why don't you start your own rescue? Why don't you give up all your free time and sleep and friends and relationships? Why don't you deal with the pain and see animals suffering and do what you can do knowing it will never be enough? But I didn't say that. I try and be nice. I let the asshole be an asshole because public opinion matters. Because that's where donations came from. And without donations and thousands in gas and vet bills every month, without donations and thousands in gas and vet bills every month would break anyone but a millionaire. You think about the 1992 transport van with 220,000 miles on it, and two of the doors don't open. Most of the windows don't work, and the engine fire that started and put itself out on the last transport. You don't think of sleeping on a pile of dog blankets on the van because you don't want to spend money on a hotel after driving 24 hours straight so you can make it home. It's all going for the greater good, so like everything else, you swallow it. You swallow it and move forward because if you don't, they die. You carry that weight and you let it push you through when you think about quitting. Then you YouTube a motivational video to get you out of bed and start Groundhog Day all over again. The day of the week doesn't matter because with a 7-day schedule, Monday is no different than Friday. The pee and poop and blood and tears will still be the same. The problem with burnout is that you can't even run and hide from it. It's a constant, and I wake up and fight through it because there are dogs that need to be socialized and fed and cleaned up after, even though on a bad day, all you want to do is stay in bed, hide under the covers, and make a little air hole to breathe. You're in a state where you're 900 miles away from any family. You don't have any time to spend with friends that you do have, so it's that awkward, we haven't talked in 6 months, but let's suddenly hang out. Rescue isn't even a marathon. A marathon ends. Rescue is a never-ending march where everything in your path tries to stop or deter you or slow you down. It's like trying to do a marathon, except instead of people handing you water, they're throwing oil and thumbtacks on your path, lighting fireworks on the road and telling you that you need to run faster or slower or backwards because whatever you're doing, it's not right and not good enough. But my reply is simple. Fuck off and get out of my way. If the path isn't clear, then I'll clear it. Because I am on an unstoppable mission to save lives and ease suffering. End quote. Thanks, Keith, for writing that. Pretty cool, pretty powerful, and impactful. That's the way I feel. I hope that you guys do too. It's just so freaking real and raw. You're right, Brenda. I haven't read that in a long time. It feels like it's still that way today, but to a lesser extent. How you doing? Are you doing good? Do you know I got your treats right here? Do you know I got your treats? Can I kiss for a treat? Can I kiss for a treat? No, just give me my treat, Mama. They're not really treats. They're just her dog food, but you know. She likes food so much she doesn't care. Keith took it upon himself to be responsible for everything. As money came in, our rescue grew into a business, and Keith became the business owner. He picked up the slack around every corner. So what he said next registered as quite odd. He said he wasn't going to be able to answer his phone for a while. That we needed to take over all rescue business because he would have to keep his head up and watch his back. Watch his back? For what? This is North Dakota, not Chicago. What he needed to watch his back for, we all wondered. It wasn't long before we realized what was up. There were some bad dudes in the area, and a local dog wandered home with a human skull. Imagine your beloved companion going out to go potty and trotting back with a human skull in its mouth. He sets the bone he's unearthed on the deck, and at first you think, that must be leftover Halloween decor from the fake graveyard last year in the woods. And then you realize it's not. It was a tall tale, a crime scene straight out of the show Forensic Files, and I didn't believe it at first. I'd heard plenty of small-town rumors and lies to know that I must question everything, especially a fantastic fable such as this. I called Keith to get the insider scoop on what became known to us as the Skull Dog. In true no BS fashion, with no inflection in his voice, Keith laid it out for me. Drugs were being brought up from Detroit. Someone killed a guy in the woods. Coyotes and dogs ate most of the body. Some lady's dog brought home the skull. Police searched the area and found some other bones. I think the FBI took over. Well, folks, there you have it. Drugs, skulls, gangs, dogs, man-eating coyotes. All the makings for a Netflix original movie. I wasn't able to find out who the soul that had been murdered in the woods, or if anyone was ever charged. The skull dog went on with his life and found other less traumatic bones to chew on. We went back to the business of rescue, not knowing what we'd just gone through had been the storm before the calm. The whole world came to a halt. Everything seemed to just sway in silence and move in slow motion. We were left wondering if what happened next was the end of TMAR and the end of Keith. Shots fired. Officer down. So, that is next time. Chapter 13. The skull dog is a true story. As odd as it is, like I said. And I posted the link to the original skull dog story, the original newspaper article in the book. It's at the bottom of the chapter. And if you have the Kindle version of Rescue Matters, the live active link is in there. As long as it's still live and active from the source that it came from, it would still be in there. So 2 weeks from now, on Wednesday, we are going to read chapter 13, Shots Fired. And I'm probably going to cry then too. And I'm for sure going to cry in chapter 14. And then we're going to skip to chapter 16, and I'm going to bawl my eyes out. Because that one really, really, really gets me. No, not chapter 16, chapter 17. We got a ways to go. I got a ways to go. Thank you for letting me read to you tonight. Thank you for following, and I hope that you've enjoyed the story. I really feel like the entire book, from start to finish, it all makes sense when you read it consecutively. So if you're just tuning in, if this is new, and it feels sort of discombobulated or whatever, I feel like it makes sense and flows all the way through. Like someone said, why are you reading about Keith working at a prison or da-da-da-da, or officer getting shot or something like that? It all fits when you put it all together in succession. It all tells a story of what was happening at the time, what was happening on the ground, and more so, what's happening with the people and the situations in the area. Where there's people suffering, there's animals suffering. Period. So telling the people's story as much as the animal's story is something I set out to do. Okay. So it's Pitbull Awareness Month, and I want to chat with you guys about that. And answer some questions here. Are you reading every week? I'll be on every other week at Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. How many munchkins do I have? I have 2 little ones. I have a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. And I have a 20-year-old daughter who just moved out. She's in college. And she's lovely. I have a lovely family. I have a husband. He's upstairs. He was supposed to be watching the kids. Apparently he's not. I have no idea what he's doing. He might be watching and not watching the kids. Maybe. CJ, would you like it if pitties became a recognized breed? Isn't that interesting? Let me think about that for a second, because I want to talk about pit bulls. How is COVID in the area and Rolla? Hi. How's COVID in our area? In our area, it's bad. Cass County. We've got North Dakota and South Dakota. I think that probably sums it all up. Yep. And Cass County is doing terrible. Like I said, Brenda's my only friend. And my only friend allowed my house. And me for her. In the Rolla area, it's doing okay. They're a little more isolated. I think they're a little more protected or protective. I'm not sure, but they're doing a lot better than right here. Is Bella? Hi, Bella. It's your Grandma Cheryl. Grandma Cheryl's watching. You're so sweet. Hi, Grandma Cheryl. Thank you for the stuffed shells tonight. Me and the kids love them.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
Brenda, how are your bottle babies?
The bottle babies went to their next foster because they're on mush. And I know of one is being adopted by a Fargo police detective.
Oh, awesome. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that you work with in your office?
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that's all I get to see her grow up, little Maple.
Oh, I love it. I love little Maple with the white face.
Yep.
Oh.
So we're doing fantastic at their new foster home. Fantastic.
Cool.
Yep.
That's so awesome. Brenda and I were on a rescue trip to Texas, Utah. We drove from North Dakota to Texas, Texas to Utah, and then back around. And while we were in Texas, we had the opportunity to rescue a white little pit bull. And her name was Kit Bull at the time, that little Pixar short movie. And she had barbed wire scratches and was just in this awful situation. And anyway, long story short, she ended up coming back to North Dakota and being adopted and rescued by an officer in my family here in North Dakota, out in Berthold, and his wife. And I am writing a second rescue book. I have no idea when I'm going to finish that. If anyone would like to come over and babysit my kids for a couple of months, I could probably finish that thing sooner. I'm babysit my husband too, I guess. But super cool. We've got detectives and police officers and family in my area where I am. There never was Turtle Mountain dogs around here. And now there's hundreds just in the area that I live in alone. So really super duper cool. Has Bella become your dog? Bella's mommy's dog. She's mommy's dog, aren't you? She's got this little bandana. My daughter got it for her, and it's got mom on it because she's such a mama's girl. Is Scott better? Scott is better. I talked to him yesterday and today through text message. And can I say what he had? He did not have COVID. Let's just say that he was really hangry for a while. And yeah, I think everyone gets that way from time to time when you don't eat a lot or can't eat a lot and just wasn't feeling very good. So, hey, it is National Pit Bull Awareness Month. And so I want to chat with you about a couple of quick things if you'd like to hang around. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. So when I got Bella, I didn't know that Pit Bull wasn't a breed of dogs. I just didn't think about it. It just was not on my radar. I wasn't a Pit Bull advocate. I didn't know about bully breeds. I didn't know a lot of the politics behind it. And I didn't have a desire to have a dog with a fat head and a beefcake body. It just wasn't something I thought of. But of course, like everything, when it comes into your family, it becomes your world. You get more invested in the cause. I didn't know that Pit Bull wasn't a breed. There's the American Staffordshire Terrier, there's the American Pit Bull, but Pit Bull typically refers to some type of mixed dog like Bella, who I have no idea what she's a mix of. She's a mix of beefcake, aren't you? You a mix of beefcake? She's a mix of mama's girl. And sometimes I think you're a mix of salmon and peas, because that's what you like so much, right? Salmon and peas. She likes food. But, so the problem, Pit Bull, that I realized that I didn't know was that 20% of all dogs going into American shelters are labeled Pit Bull or Pit Bull X or some type of pit mix. And those are the dogs that get euthanized because they're labeled Pit Bull, which is this sort of mythical, magical breed of dog. Is it a Pit Bull dog? What if it's a Pit Bull and a German Shepherd, or a Pit Bull crossed with a Golden Retriever? Is it Pit Bull-like or is it Golden Retriever-like? And so if it's labeled Pit Bull-like, it gets euthanized more often, which is just a terrible tragedy that still happens today. So I think really together we can work to change that. It starts with education. Got a little sentence here. If you have never read the essay called The Troublemakers by Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote The Tipping Point and Outliers, a bunch of other ones, it's fantastic. It's called The Troublemakers, an essay by Malcolm Gladwell. And in there, he refers to the American Temperament Test Society, which has put 25,000 dogs through a 10-part standardized drill designed to assess a dog's stability, shyness, aggressiveness, friendliness in the company of people. A handler takes a dog on a 6-foot lead and judges its reaction to stimuli such as gunshots, an umbrella opening, and a weirdly dressed stranger approaching in a threatening way. 84% of the pit bulls that have been given the test have passed, which ranks pit bulls ahead of beagles, bearded collies, Airedales, and a bunch of other dogs that are listed below. And so the American Temperament Test Society. I wanted to see what this place was all about and if they had any new data. So I went to their website. Turns out they do. They've got a whole ton of data. This one was from December of 2017, and it lists the breed of dog, how many dogs were tested in all of those categories, how many passed and how many failed, which I thought was really super interesting. So here's some stats on that. The Alaskan Malamute passed at an 85% pass rate. The American Bulldog at an 87% pass rate. The American Pit Bull Terrier at an 87% pass rate. American Staffordshire Terrier at an 86% pass rate. Here's where I thought it got interesting. The American Water Spaniel at a 77% pass rate. The Bearded Collie at a 57% pass rate. The Bichon Frise at a 76% pass rate. So all the ones worse than the standard pit bulls. Bichon Frise, Boxer, Bulldog, Doberman Pinscher, weighing it at a 79% pass rate. It's just super interesting. And so if you want to go on here, it's the American Temperament Test Society. They've got breed statistics and a whole bunch of other, cool information on there. But, hey, there are bad dogs for sure. There's bad pit bull looking dogs. There's bad German Shepherds. My mom got bit by a yellow lab of all things, right? My uncle got bit by a golden retriever when he was riding his bike and was attacked and pulled off. And so in my family, we've been bit by a yellow lab and a golden retriever. So there's bad dogs. There's good dogs. There's bad people with good dogs. There's bad dogs with good people. There's a whole freaking mix out there. And my daughter now, who is 20 and just moved out and lives in a town home, she was like, Mom, I miss the dogs every day. She wasn't like, Mom, I miss you every day. She's like, Mom, I miss the dogs every day. I think about them all the time. Like, I know, it would be so sad to not have dogs. And they can have dogs, and she can have guest dogs, but she would have to pay a $1,000 guest deposit just to have guest dogs. And that would be like, okay, like maybe we could figure that out. Maybe, as long as we got it back. But under the rules then, you can't have pit bull looking dogs. So she can't go visit.
Oh.
She can't go stay when we go somewhere, maybe we'll go somewhere in like 2025 again. She can't go because they've got a pit bull ban or pit bull looking dogs. So let's just say I did a DNA test on Bella. And let's say that she was Golden Retriever, Labrador, and Staffordshire Terrier. Is she a pit bull or is she a lab? Mm-hmm. Is she a pit bull or is she a Golden Retriever? And so, I don't know. What does she look like? What does she look like? I didn't do a DNA test. I just don't really have a reason to. I'm cool with whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. But I hope we can continue to break down the stigma of these wonderful, wonderful, loyal dogs. And it probably sounds cliche because I know a lot of pit bull owners have said this, but once you get one and they're so sweet and they're so good, I just can't see how I could ever have a different type of dog. They're so... and I suppose I'm drawn to the underdog too, that if you can do it and you can open your home to a dog that otherwise is much more likely to be euthanized in a shelter, not adopted, not fostered, you should definitely do it. We have a hard time placing pit bull looking dogs. We had a hard time finding her home, which is why she ended up in my home. And I'm so glad that she did. I'm so glad that you did. So if you can open your home up, you can open your heart, open your mind a little bit. Don't be like the guy the other day who told my 6-year-old daughter that you shouldn't have a pit bull in a home with little kids. Don't be that person. Come on now. Come on now. Come over and visit Bella. I think that she'll change your mind. How far am I from Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue? I'm about 4 hours. And ask Brenda where she finds all of her energy.
Oh, shit.
I know, I've asked her before. Brenda's just a machine. Brenda, where do you get all of your energy?
Dogs. They just drive me. I don't know. It's my passion. It's my love.
I think that is the truest answer I know of you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you and I chatting one time about when you had gotten involved, or you'd been involved in dog rescue for a while, and you were just like, I don't know what I would do if I hadn't have found it. It's what brings me balance, right? Which what makes everything else okay.
It clarifies my life.
Yeah. I love that, Brenda. I want to answer this final question, which was, do I think that pit bulls should be made a breed? You know what? I've never really thought about it. It's a good question. I don't know. Do you have any insight into that?
It's too broad of. I mean, it's a category that lots of different types of dogs get put into. So I don't know to have it as a. I don't know. I don't know either. I never thought about it till that question came up.
Well, there's the American Staffordshire Terrier. There's the American Pit Bull. There's one other classification of Pit Bull, right?
Yeah, I think
There's the American Pit Bull, and then I think there might be one other that's
yeah.
But most of them that are not those bred ones are labeled Pit Bulls or Pitties. That's what she would be talking about. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'm going to let you guys go. You are so super duper lovely. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello to all my friends out there. I'm sure that I will be seeing you again. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really do consider it an honor and a pleasure if you're tuning in and taking your time and sharing it with us tonight. So see you in 2 weeks. Bring your tissues.
November 11th.
And I will bring November 11th. I will bring Brenda and Bella back.
Sounds good.
Bye, everyone.